Every child carries a universe within them, a world of thoughts, ideas, and dreams waiting to be acknowledged. But what happens when no one looks, when no one listens, when no one sees? The greatest tragedy in life is not being forgotten. It is never being noticed in the first place. There are countless children who go through their days in silence, desperately longing for someone to recognize them. They are not loud. They do not demand attention. Instead, they wait, hoping that someone, anyone, will look their way and say, "I see you. You matter." And when that doesn't happen, they begin to shrink, fading into the background of classrooms, homes, and playgrounds, slowly convincing themselves that they are unimportant. And nothing is more dangerous than a child who believes they are invisible. Recognition is not about flattery. It is not about rewarding the loudest voice in the room. It is about something far deeper. It is about looking at a child, really looking, and saying, "I see the person you are, and I see the person you can become." Because here's the truth. When a child is seen, their world changes. Their posture straightens, their eyes brighten, they begin to speak, to express, to exist in a way they never dared before. We have all encountered a child who has been overlooked. Maybe it was a student sitting quietly in the back of the classroom, never raising their hand. Maybe it was a son or daughter who felt overshadowed by a louder sibling. Maybe it was a child who grew up in a home where love was scarce, where words of encouragement were a rarity. These children learn to expect nothing. They learn to hide in plain sight. And yet, deep down, they are hoping that someone will notice the quiet brilliance within them. It is easy to see the confident child, the one who speaks up, who takes center stage. But what about the one who hesitates, the one who looks down when spoken to, the one who is convinced themselves that they have nothing of value to offer? That is the child who needs to be seen the most. Because when they are overlooked for too long, they stop trying. And when they stop trying, they stop growing. One of the greatest mistakes we make as a society is assuming that children will figure things out on their own, that they will find their way without guidance, without acknowledgement. But that is not how it works. A child needs to be seen before they can see themselves. They need someone to reflect their potential back at them, to give them permission to believe in who they are. A simple word, a simple gesture, a moment of recognition, it can change the entire trajectory of a life. Think about the teachers who changed lives, the mentors who ignited potential, the parents who built confidence. What did they all have in common? They saw something in a child that others missed. They looked beyond the surface and recognized something deeper. They knew that every child is more than what they appear to be, that within every quiet gaze, every hesitant step, there is a story waiting to be told. There is a reason why stories of recognition are so powerful, why people remember the one teacher who believed in them, the one coach who encouraged them, the one friend who saw them when they felt invisible. Because being seen is the foundation of self-worth. It is what allows a child to stand up and say, "I belong here, I have something to offer." Without that, they drift, they withdraw, they become shadows in a world that was meant to be theirs. A child who is never seen will spend their life searching for validation in all the wrong places. They will look for it in people who do not have their best interests at heart. They will seek it in destructive habits, in empty pursuits, in anything that makes them feel, even for a moment, that they exist. And that is a tragedy, because they were meant for so much more. But when a child is seen, truly seen, everything changes. They begin to rise, they begin to explore their abilities, they dare to dream, they find their voice and they use it. And most importantly, they begin to see themselves through the eyes of those who believed in them. And from that moment on, they are never the same. We have a responsibility to see the unseen, to listen to the unheard, to uplift those who are waiting in silence. A child should never have to beg for recognition. They should never have to prove their worth before they are acknowledged. They should never have to wonder if they matter. So look closer, pay attention, be the person who sees, because the child who only wanted to be seen is waiting. And the moment you recognize them, you will witness something extraordinary. The transformation of a life that was always meant to shine. A child who feels invisible carries a weight they cannot name. They move through life unnoticed, unheard, uncertain if they matter. They sit in classrooms, in living rooms, in playgrounds, waiting for a moment that never comes. They sit in classrooms and living rooms and playgrounds, waiting for a moment that never comes. The moment when someone looks at them and says, "I see you." And when that moment never arrives, something inside them begins to fade. No one is born believing they are invisible. That belief is learned. It is taught by neglect, by silence, by the absence of acknowledgement. A child speaks, but no one listens. A child achieves, but no one notices. A child struggles, but no one helps. Slowly, they begin to retreat. They stop raising their hand. They stop offering their thoughts. They stop trying. Not because they don't care, but because they believe it doesn't matter. And when a child reaches that point, when they truly believe they are unseen, the consequences are profound. What happens to a child who feels invisible? They search. They search for meaning, for recognition, for proof that they exist. And if they do not find it in the right places, they will look in the wrong ones. They will find validation in destructive friendships, in reckless behavior, in any situation that offers them the illusion of being seen. Because even negative attention is better than none at all. A child who has spent their life unseen will do anything to prove they are real. But here's the truth. No child should have to fight to be noticed. No child should have to prove their worth before they are acknowledged. Every child deserves to be seen, not for what they can offer, not for how well they perform, but simply because they exist. And the moment you see a child, not just glance at them, not just hear them, but truly see them, you give them something they have been longing for their entire life: permission to believe in themselves. When a child is seen, they transform. Their posture changes, their voice strengthens. They begin to take up space in a way they never dared before. They go from invisible to invincible. Not because they have changed, but because they have finally been given the freedom to be who they always were. That is the power of being seen. It does not create value in a child, it reveals the value that was always there. Think about the people who shaped your life, the ones who noticed something in you that others overlooked, the ones who encouraged you, who believed in you, who made you feel like you mattered. What did they do? They saw you. They recognized your potential, your struggles, your dreams. And that recognition changed everything, because the moment someone sees you, truly sees you, you begin to see yourself differently. You begin to believe that maybe, just maybe, you were never invisible to begin with. But there is another side to this. Just as being seen can transform a child, being ignored can destroy them. The child who is never noticed, never acknowledged, never given a moment of true recognition, what happens to them? They shrink, they doubt, they grow older, but they never grow into themselves. They become adults who carry the same invisibility they felt as children. They sit in meetings afraid to speak. They struggle in relationships because they were never taught that their voice matters. They settle for less than they deserve because deep down they still believe they are unimportant. This is not just about childhood, it is about life. It is about the long-lasting impact of recognition or the lack of it. It is about the way we, as individuals, shape the world around us through the simple act of seeing or failing to see those who need it most. A child who is seen becomes an adult who believes in their own worth, and an adult who believes in their own worth has the power to change the world. So how do we ensure that no child grows up feeling invisible? It starts with attention, real attention. Not just hearing what they say, but understanding what they mean. Not just acknowledging their presence, but valuing it. It means making eye contact. It means listening without distraction. It means noticing the small victories, the quiet struggles, the moments of brilliance that might otherwise go unnoticed. It means telling a child, I see you, not just in words, but in actions. It means showing up, not just when it is convenient, but when it is necessary. It means recognizing effort, not just success. It means making sure that no child ever wonders if they matter. Because a child who is certain of their worth will carry that certainty for the rest of their life. Every great leader, every innovator, every person who has ever changed the course of history, they were seen, they were recognized. Someone somewhere believed in them before they believed in themselves. And that belief, that moment of recognition, set them on a path that altered everything. Imagine if that had never happened. Imagine how many brilliant minds, how many extraordinary souls have been lost simply because no one took the time to notice them. That is why this matters. That is why we cannot afford to overlook even one child, because every child has the potential to be extraordinary, but they need someone to reflect that potential back at them. They need someone to say, I see who you are, I see who you can become, and I believe in you. And when we do that, when we take the time to see, to acknowledge, to believe, we do not just change a child's life, we change the world, because a child who is seen will never again allow themselves to be invisible. They will rise, they will speak, they will take up space, and they will become everything they were always meant to be.